Of course, it's the Euro hype, and today we are going to go over Spain's tactics. They got off to a very good start against Croatia, beating them 3-0. Quite a dominating game as well. They've got young talent everywhere on the pitch. A very exciting team and playing some top stuff. If you are enjoying the Euro sort of tactics, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off game by game today because obviously there's no data hub, so we need to sort of break down the stats in a bit more detail. So first up is going to be a friendly game against Belgium, where you can see we come out, we did get the win with Ansu Fati scoring in the 82nd minute. It was a very close game, tied with Belgium. Unfortunately, a game which I did have the upper hand in possession, but at the end of the day, we got the win. That's all that matters. We then played Cameroon in a friendly, and we nearly got FM, to be honest. We did win at 1-0 with Alvaro Morata scoring his goal, but we had 69% of the ball, 7 shots on target and 18 shots overall, compared to their 1 shot on target and 31% possession. So we absolutely battered and dominated the game. We simply were lucky we scored 1, because otherwise, this could have been a very frustrating draw. Very early test, very early on against France, one of the best teams in world football, or European football should I say, and it was a very close game where credit is due. I was surprised we had this amount of possession against a team like France. 58% of the ball. They did have more shots on the goal. We had 4, they had 7 on target, so they definitely did deserve a goal, but they simply couldn't get it because we were so comfortable in possession. We were dominating the ball, we were controlling the game, dictating the pace, and it is going to be Morata again, who gets memes quite a fair bit in football, but for us, he seems to be cooking. We then take no time and we get right into the groups. And the first game is against the Netherlands, where we come out and win 1-0 with a penalty from big boy Marco himself. And I will say again, it's a game where possession-wise, we are going to be in the favour against a top European side. 56% of the ball. We had more shots to them off target and on target. And of course, our XG was around 1.2 higher. So we definitely did deserve that game, 100%. It's a very strong Dutch team here, but simply they couldn't get past us. And that is going to be a big win for the first game in the groups. We don't hide when things go bad on this channel, and unfortunately this is one of them occasions. We get beat badly against Italy. They are also a very, very strong team. This video can get up to 50 likes. I will make an Italy tactic 100% during the Euros. Now I will say it was a game where again we had so much more of the ball, and this is why I always say to you, please get all 3 variants, because if I was playing this game I would have switched to the attacking variant when we had all this possession and actually gone a little bit more direct and tried to get a goal, because we did deserve a goal, we simply couldn't get one. So do you know what? On this occasion, fair play to Italy. And then we go and play Turkey. Really, I don't like playing Turkey because they have a big place in my heart, but do you know what? We go out and we absolutely batter them. On this occasion, they had more possession, so very strange, but we did score 4 goals. So do you know what? This is what I'm sort of trying to say. When you do switch up the variants, you go in with the attacking variant for a game, which obviously I was sort of forced into after that loss. You don't have as much possession, but you are going to go out and score goals upon goals upon goals. Rodri, Morata, Thiago, and Yeremy Pino are going to be getting the goals. Turkey failed to register 1 shot on target, and that ended the groups like this. We are going to qualify in second place, and we're now going to go right in to the second round of the European Football Championship 2024. And we do match up against Germany. Obviously you do have to sort of fix the issue because they're not in the game, and it is going to be Gaia who drives into the box and does score the goal. But now I'm asking you guys for help, because does anybody know how I can fix the Germany team so they don't play this team? Because obviously it is a little bit of a free buy this game, because they're playing a team I'm not even sure on who they are. I don't know why they're not in the game, why it is you have to delete a certain file to even see them in the game, but I do need to see how I can get them players, because the only way I got them players for me is when I actually added them in manually. So do let me know if you can in the comments. But we get past the second round, but it is a bit of a bye. Portugal in the quarterfinals, and look at this free kick from Marco inside of the 106th minute in extra time. He's got a step and he's got a score. That is one of the finest free kicks I have seen in recent times. Moreno now going to link it up very well. Gerard Moreno back inside into Marco. Look at the give and go. Look at the space. Look at Moreno into the bottom right hand corner. My absolute goat. We love to see that. It was a game which was very close. We had 55% possession though, so we are going to favour that of course by 5%. The same amount of shots on target and slightly less shots overall. They were quite unlucky not to get a goal, to be honest with you, but we dominated possession. That's what we're about. 0-0 drama in the semi-finals, and that is going to be against the Netherlands, where unfortunately they got off to a very good start with the penalties and we don't. So not the best display there, as it is now going to be Klaassen stepping up and sticking it into the bottom left-hand corner. Yeremy Pino is going to step and he's going to score into the bottom left corner as well. Marlon is going to step and he's going to miss. Raya makes the save, a very convincing save at that rate. Ansu Fati into the top right-hand corner. You cannot beat them sometimes. Xerxes steps and he scores. A very good penalty there. Laporte, he steps and he scores. You know how it's going to go. We love to be seeing this. Virgil van Dijk steps. He scores. He was never going to miss, let's be real. Rodrigo, the calmest man on the pitch, the best DM in the world, levers it in. Lang steps, and he scores. Flawless penalties out of these players so far, bar one, as we now stick the ball in the bottom left-hand corner. Botman, is he going to miss? Of course he's not going to miss. It was one of the longest penalty shootouts I've ever seen in my entire life, with their players and our players putting on a display. And still to this day, I don't know how many this has been. It's over 8 penalties at least, but we're going through the whole team. We're going through the under-21s, the under-15s. Everyone's getting a pen at this rate because we were literally flawless from both ends. We had a little slip up, obviously, at the start, but it does come to a point where you start to think, hang on, am I going to be here all day? And I'm going to keep it in the video because I don't know if you've seen a penalty shootout this long. It went all the way up to the goalkeeper, where even they were scoring the penalties. 2 great penalties from the goalkeepers, and then we rerun it. We go all the way again, where finally Xavi does miss the pen, and we do win it. We win 11-10 on penalties, to be exact. And it was a game, to be fair, very similar to the past game. We had more possession, not necessarily as many sort of XG. We did have more XG in this game, to be fair. It was a deserved win, but boy, oh boy, 11-10, 21 penalties taken. And then we go and we play Northern Ireland in the finals of the Euros. A very interesting feeling, and it is going to be Parrott who gets off to a great start. It's actually going to be classed as an own goal off our defender there. We are going to bounce back in 66 minutes with Lee Normad on the edge of the box, playing it back into Marino, into Marco, who's had one really good Euro tournament. He honestly has a very good sort of tournament from him. Carvajal now on the right hand side, into Gavi, back into the box, and Fati leaps above the man and gets the goal to make it 2-1, and time for one more to crown us Euro champions. That is going to be, I believe, off Pau Torres, if I'm not mistaken. It is covered as Pau Torres, but it did go down as an own goal. But, oh no, that's the goal. He scored an own goal, he scored a goal. He's equaled himself out. But you know what? That is one of the most unique finals. I was not expecting to play, well, Ireland, not Northern Ireland, and 67% possession, 28 shots, 10 on target, 3.89 XG. It was a final which, to be fair, they may as well have sat at home because it was so convincing, so dominating, and that is almost, it feels like a free final. But at the end of the day, we've had some tough results here. We've grinded out some games, you know, the likes of France, Italy wasn't pretty, Netherlands, Turkey, Germany was an interesting one, Portugal, Netherlands, Ireland. It's a tactic which you're going to dominate the game, but I will say I would advise getting all 3 variants because you're always going to be in control, but sometimes you need that final push. So if there's going to be a video you get all 3 tactics from, make it be this one. Now, of course, over to your favourite part of the video, the tactic breakdown. If you're enjoying back home, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to get over 13 perks, all exclusive to this channel, including access to all 3 of these tactics, console tactics, mobile tactics, because we do make them for every single tactic as well. You want the tactics early, you like the rebuild files, you want those, you want priority in the tactic and the rebuild requests, you want one-on-one tactical help and access to this month's 300 PayPal pound giveaway split between 3 winners, so that is a very good chance of you getting your hands on £100. You can come over and join the Patreon in the description below, but we currently have over 4,500 active members, a big community. We absolutely love speaking to each other. Come over and get involved. The link is going to be in a description. Let's get in and talk about this Spanish tactic. So we are going to kick things off with the goalkeeper, who is going to be a sweeper keeper, simply set to attack. A nice and simple start. Now, from what I watched against Croatia, the fullbacks were very, very aggressive, and I think there's a sort of a thing which this manager has implemented into the team, and you know what? It works really, really well. So we are going to replicate it in the game. A fullback on attack, on run wide, cross more often, and get further forwards. Of course, 2 of those are the default instructions, but it does help explain a little bit what you can expect from these fullbacks. And that's also going to be replicated for the left-hand side. So nothing too strenuous at all to start things off. Very attacking fullbacks, which is going to work when you do sort of understand as we go up the field a little bit, because it is a very important part of the team. We then have 2 ball-playing defenders, obviously a team who love to play it out from the back, a team that's very good passing it out from the back, always have a player in front of them that picks the ball up very well. So 2 ball-playing defenders is an absolute necessity. Going over to the DM, we are going to have on support, on pass at shorter, and hold position. I want him holding position because I want him to be basically situated in between these 2 centre-backs, because then he can pick up the ball and move the ball forward or pass the ball forward and keep it nice and simple. So hold position is a must in this role. We then go over to a central midfield player on support, on shoot more often, get further forwards, and of course tackle harder. Very important with this player, he is getting further forwards, and that shoot more often does help contribute a little bit more goals to the team, because in some regard this tactic doesn't score as many goals as others, so that little boost does help out quite a fair bit. Going up to the midfield again, we are going to have the advanced playmaker, who is going to be on pass it shorter and simply grown from position. Again, very important we do use an attack and role in this midfield, because free supportive roles is way too negative, so this is a much needed addition. In my opinion, a Mazzala isn't as accurate, but if you wish to use one, you could also use one and it would work completely fine. But for realism, we have gone with the AP. Now on the left, we are going with a winger on pass it shorter, cut inside and roam from position, and that's simply going to be on support, and that's also going to be replicated on the right with one additional instruction with shoot less often. So what's going to happen here is your players essentially on the left and on the right are going to be picking up the ball, passing it shorter, cutting inside, which they have to do because then the fullbacks can overlap and cause all sorts of danger. So make sure you are telling them to cut inside, because otherwise the tactic is not going to work half as good as what it should be. And lastly, to link up the play and get a goal here and there is going to be the deep lying forward, who is going to be simply on pass it shorter. Now over to the team instructions, and make sure you come back tomorrow to see the rebuild that we are going to post with this tactic. We always do a rebuild after the tactic using today's tactic. You're seeing a lot of tactic being mentioned, but it is going to be based around a custom Tiki Taka on the positive mentality. We're going to go all the way down to fairly narrow. We're going to overlap left, overlap right, and play out from the back, with the tempo being set to slightly higher and the directness being all the way down to much shorter. So it is going to be a very short pass tactic, a very Tiki Taka inspired tactic, as you probably could imagine back home. The tempo is going to be somewhat high and it works really well playing this way, so I would not recommend changing it. In transition, we are simply going to go with counter press and play to anybody across the back line, and we're not going to choose a distribution type in terms of rolling it out or taking short goal kicks, because from what I saw it was fairly mixed, so we are going to keep it like that. And in regards to everything else, it is simply going to remain exactly the same. Now when in terms of out of possession, we are going to roll with the standard defensive line, the high pressing line of engagement, more often prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and lastly we're actually going to go with invite crosses because we can deal with it. And now let's go over to a slightly more attacking variant. But the attacking variant of course is going to look somewhat similar because it has to. We don't want to go too unrealistic, but it is going to have very key changes which are going to make the tactic more attacking. So the goalkeeper remains the same, as both does the fullbacks and both does the centre backs, exactly the same. We do introduce a register into the mix instead of a DM who is simply going to be set to pass it shorter. A central midfield player comes in this time on attack, on dribble more, shoot more often, roam from position, move into the channels and tackle harder. So we've taken that sort of default role and really made him an attacking clinic, made him a lot more attacking, get stuck in, get involved in the game, dribble, shoot more, roam, move into different pockets of space. It's got to work very, very well, and something I would highly recommend. The advanced playmaker does remain exactly the same because he's already quite an attack and roll. The wingers get a little bit of a change because they're both going to be simply on the same support of instructions as what we did have, but now we're going to take them off support and have them on attack. So on the left, on attack, shorter, cut inside and roam, and lastly the winger, pass it shorter, cut inside, shoot less often and roam. Now what I have done, I've kept the deep line forward for realism reasons, but if you want to be a little bit more unrealistic, you simply want results, you could go with the advanced forward and you would definitely score more goals, but that is up to you. We're all based off a custom Tiki Taka on the attacking mentality. We are going to go down to fairly narrow, we're going to overlap left, overlap right and play out from the back, as you would expect. That is the Spanish way. We're going to go all the way down to much shorter still because it is the DNA of the team. We are also going to maintain the low crosses, but, and the big but is, we're going to add be more expressive. Just adding this one instruction did really change how we played, a lot more sort of freedom in the attack, so I would highly recommend it if you are desperate and you're trying to score a goal. In transition, we are simply going to go with counter press, distribute quickly, play to anyone across the back line, and again, this is something which can be put up for debate because if you are in that much of a rush, you might not want to go to the back line, you might want to go a little bit more direct, but for realism, we are going to keep it exactly like that because I do not usually see Spain hitting the ball long too often. Now out of possession, we are going to maintain with that high press line of engagement. We are going to go with the higher defensive line, prevent short goalkeeper distribution. We are going to max out the trigger press on this occasion, and we are also going to remain inviting crosses. Now to defend those games out, or if you are playing as a very weak team in the big league, this is going to be a defensive tactic, and we're going to kick things off with the goalkeeper, who does remain the same. Both of the fullbacks now drop down to support, on pass at shorter, and run wide with the ball. Both of the ball playing defenders also remain exactly the same. So the back line does instantly take a hit because it's not going to be as attacking, so obviously we want to be a little bit more reserved if we are playing as a weaker team. We almost want to go down a path of having a lot more possession, a lot more control, sacrificing some of the goals, but being a team that has got the ball and not conceding 15 goals a game. Now the anchor is going to be simply on defend with one instruction, and that is simply going to be set to pass it shorter. By default, an anchor naturally holds his position. He's taken less risk anyway. We don't need to add any more instructions. We then go with two central midfield players on the left. He's going to be on pass it shorter, dribble less, get further forwards and tackle harder. And on the right, two instructions on support, shorter, and roam from position. So still very important we've got one of them players that is going to be getting further forwards, because otherwise what happens is you've got such a big gap from the midfield to attack, and no one's sort of trying to close that space down, you know. You got your attack up here, your midfield here. You want one player somewhat bringing the ball up, and that's exactly what he will do. Now the winger on the left and on the right are going to be exactly the same as the default tactic, both on support, both wingers, so that is nice and simple. And the deep line forward now is going to be set to support simply on pass it shorter. So again, custom Tiki Taka on the positive mentality, still going to be positive. We're going to go down to fairly narrow. We're going to play out from the back with no real focus on getting the fullbacks overlapping, because they're not meant to be as attacking anyway. This does remain in the middle with the directness going all the way down too much shorter, as to be expected, with dribble less, and of course the low crosser. So now this tactic goes from being somewhat of quite a high tempo aggressive tactic to being quite calm, dribbling less, playing the ball around, all about control, all about focus, and dominating that possession stat line. Now in transition, we are going to go with counter press, hold the shape. So again, we're going to see the players that get affected by this. They're going to situate where they're meant to be, and that means the possession is going to be very, very lively. We're going to have tons of the ball and be very frustrating to play against. We're going to take short goal kicks on this occasion and play to anyone across the back line, and in possession, we are going to slow the pace down because we are deploying this to defend a game out. If you're going into a game with this tactic, you don't need that instruction on, so that is purely down to your personal circumstance. And lastly, we are going to go with the high press and eye of engagement, the standard defensive line. We are going to invite the crosses and prevent short goalkeeper distribution, but we're going to leave this bang on in the middle. And that's going to complete for you boys and girls back home 3 variants of the Spanish system: a default, an attacking, and a defensive. Hopefully you have enjoyed back home. If you have, a like would be much appreciated. Again, if we hit the like goal, an Italy tactic will be dropped alongside of several others. We've got England, we've got Portugal, we've got Poland, we've got Belgium. We've got so many tactics, and if you like them, I'll do them. Simple as that. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.